Mr. Master of Ceremonies, I would like to greet the Zulu traditional Prime Minister, Dr. Mangosuthu, who's the oldest among all of us, as we are gathered here. And then I would like to go on and also mention Dr. Sbongstein, whom I was teaching at Lanezwan School. Inkosi Chiliza, OMC, we have been with him in a number of countries. Thank you very much. And all protocol observed. I would start by explaining why is this book written like this. It has been established internationally that many people are lazy to read books. It has been established. And therefore, you must not be surprised if you find many photos in this book. It is for the sense of sight. The sense of sight is responsible for 75% of our knowledge. Sense of sight. We have 5 senses, but that one of sight, 75% of our knowledge. So those who are lazy to read would gain a lot through the sense of sight, because in all these photos you will find Mabheka, Prince Mabheka, Zulu, is there with the people. So if you are lazy to read, you will still find the gist of what is in the book. And that is the first thing. And the second thing which I must come to is the explanation of Mabheka. What it means is the guardian or protector. That is the name of the meaning of the name of Mabheka. As I'm here, it was the king's wish. He recommended that I write a book about Prince Mabheka. I will explain more as we move forward. I would like us all now to go back in the beginning. The beginning is the 1860, 300 Indian slaves who were brought here to plant sugarcane. It was against their will. They were from India, which was a British colony, coming to the British colony of Natal, where the Zulu people had already been enslaved through Ishwar. They were collected and forced to work on the roads, railway lines, cutting trees in the harbor. So while those 300 Indians were slaves, and they came here when the Zulu people were already slaves. North of Tubela, we were having independent Zulu kingdom under King Bar. Now, what is left now, which is a challenge, not only to mention this, but there's a challenge. We need our rich people to take England into the ICC for enslaving these 300 Indians and the Zulu people who were enslaved here to Ishwar. And that is a serious matter. England has already paid in Kenya and apologized, and in other places, for enslaving people. So this is a gap which is very, very important. We have now many rich people, Zulu people as well as Indians. They must put up their socks, take England into the ICC at The Hague for compensation. It's not present. Another important thing is this: from 1860 to 1949, that is 89 years, there was peace between the Indians and the Zulu people. Peace, no quarrels, nothing. But in January 1949, there were riots. J.K. Mbane, in his autobiography, says those riots were caused by the National Party government, which took over the country in 1948. So he explains how it was done. They did not want Indians and the Zulu people to move closer like that, because the policy of the National Party was rigid separation among the people. So that is important also to keep in mind. Mabheka Zulu, Prince Mabheka Zulu, I will say more about him, is the descendant of these 300 Indians who were forced to work in sugarcane from 1860 onwards. He is from poor beginnings, but in Lot 14, that's where he was gay. And the Indians who were living there, they were a mixture with the Zulu people. They were together, they were not alone. But the area was impoverished. But it was a blessing, because Mabheka can speak Zulu fluently. And that helped him as he was growing up, because he grew up with his people. It is true, he was from a big family of 7 people, and his dad, his father, passed on when he was 39 years. And it was his mother who was left behind to raise these 7 children. As Zulu people would put it, intandanenhle umakhothwa unina, meaning that the mother is more important. Our mothers are more important than men. So it's a blessing if you have your mother close to you than when you have your father. It is, this Zulu proverb means that. So Mabheka was forced to go and work. He first moved to Ntubatuba, where he worked as a driver, and afterwards left the work there, moved to Mbangeni, and Mbangeni worked there, and he was retrenched retrenched. And that itself also was a blessing, because he established AC Industrial, which was a company providing solutions in water and sanitation. In establishing this company, he was helped by the guidance of Swami Sahajanand, and also the support of his wife, Ishwar, and also the trustworthiness of the Zulu employees in his company. And these were the pillars of the AC Industrial, which was his company. So that was the position. But afterwards, he met the Zulu Prime Minister first before meeting the king. He met the king later on in 1994, having met Dr. Kelezi long after that. When he met the king, he was already known to Dr. Kelezi. And eventually the king adopted him as a son. But that adoption may confuse other people. Some can think it's a joke of some kind or whatever. How can it happen? It happened because there was a background. King Shaka had adopted Captain James King. That year, adopted him because there were 35 British settlers who came here to look for residential sites. They were given residential sites as Fugulu. They were not given land because the land was indivisible and inalienable. They were given land, but they were accepted by King Shaka, allowed to marry Zulu women. They had a lot of children who are today known as colored. Nobody was worried about that. Out of this, Captain James King was adopted to be very close to King Shaka. He's the only one who produced a photo of King Shaka, which is locked in the archives. There is no other photo of King Shaka. That one which we have in the archives was because of Captain James King. King Shaka sent him with Soto Gazu to go and meet Zulu British King George VI. Of course, they did not reach England. When they were in Port Elizabeth, the British governor told them they will not be allowed to proceed, and that was the end of the matter. But that was the first person to be adopted by King Shaka. The second person to be adopted was John Donne. John Donne was adopted by King Ishwar and used as a liaison between the Zulu kingdom and the Natal colony. Also used by King Ishwar to get guns for the Zulu people in Mozambique. So John Donne had a lot of wives, and descendants are still there because he was adopted and was in a favorable light, was seen in a favorable light by the Zulu people and the king. But when the British invaded the Zulu kingdom, John Donne defected to the British invaders. But he had already been adopted. And the third person who was adopted was Harriet Colenso. Harriet Colenso was known among the Zulu people as Udlwedlwe. Nkosazana, that's the full name, how they look after him. He was after her, and she was adopted by King Dinuzulu. And she became very loyal up to the end when the king passed on in 1913. And King Zwelithini, our late king, was the fourth one to adopt Mabheka. So we must have that background, because some people are confused. Even the Zulu people are confused. How can now we have Mabheka, and what does it mean? So after Mabheka had been adopted, he was placed at Enyogeni Palace of Oganchiza. He was given full traditional attire by the king. Everything, the shield, the spear, and everything from foot, from head to toe. And then he was given that and was conscripted into his nose. His nose was a very brave regiment, which was first conscripted by King Shaka and then up to King Dinga. So as you see him just now, he belongs to that regiment. Mabheka was also awarded Zulu orders. These are Zulu orders on the front. He was awarded those orders by the Zulu king. So Mabheka, realizing that he was now fully belonging to Osuthu and Enyogeni, he built a big hall there, very big hall, which he built there, and that hall can be converted into a museum, or it can also be converted into King's Royal Archives as we move forward. But now our people are still lazy to read and to look forward. But that's what can be done. Because when we were overseas accompanying the king, the British said you can get all the documents belonging to King Tejwai, provided you have a place where you will keep them. That's what they said. They said we can scan them and give them to you, but you must show us the place. So then it was cul-de-sac. That was not done. Prince Mabheka Zulu built some houses at Osuthu because the king was now re-establishing Osuthu Palace, so which is closer to Enyogeni. And then Mabheka was there to assist the king, because he belongs to that palace. So he built some houses there. That is what Mabheka did. When we had a big celebration at Sandwana, Mabheka would come there fully dressed like all the Zulus with these shields and go in a prominent place. He has Izibongo or praises are a condensed history of a person. In this book, you will see Zulu or praises with annotation. And that is the story on itself in this book. But what is surprising about Prince Mabheka, even when you look here, in every district, he built houses for the poor. There's a dilapidating house and then a new one, which is built by Mabheka. In most of the Zulu districts, that's what he did. And at Niue, he also assisted to build a big hall for the school. All that you will see then in the photos here, which was his work. But that was not the only thing he did. There was Sivananda Peace Pillars, which he erected at Mitchell's Park, where there are parts of our late king and that one of Dr. Mandela. And all these were done for 4 communities: the colored, Indians, Zulu, and Europeans. But that was not done as an end in itself. This should be put into the curriculum. And then now people are lazy to see what children are taught at school, especially history. History is life and death, so they do not do that. The Nationalist Party were wise, and they made sure we were taught European history, African history, right through, and they repeat it until you come to the university, until you go away. But now these communities, as who are free, the Indians, African, Zulus, colored, and Europeans here, they are looking at the peace pillars there and think it's a decoration. It means you go back and dig up about the history of the Indians up to now, the history of the colors, the history of the Zulu people, and that one of the Europeans. And that must be infused into the curriculum in schools up to university. So it is not done. Why? People are waiting for somebody to fulfill them. That will not happen. Have to pull up our socks and make sure that the history is taught properly. Mabheka built other peace pillars in Richards Bay along the same lines, highlighting the 4 communities. Mabheka was not isolated from Indian history, because even just now he is the chairperson of the Indian indentured laborers, 1860 Indian indentured laborers in northern Zululand, or north of Tugela. And then he was involved also, as we were told, he was involved in GOPIO. GOPIO is the global organization of people of Indian origin. So that's the biggest organization. So he's involved there, and in 2018 he was elected as executive president. And at one time organized a big business summit here, so that this country gets foreign investment. And he was also a coordinator of GOPIO in Africa. So you can see how involved he was, but it did not mean by naming him Mabheka, Prince Mabheka, that he forgot about where he came from. And that's why he was involved in all these activities. So that is the position. When you look at Mabheka, you must know that his history has not come to an end because he's young. It is unfolding. He is the, as far as I'm concerned, when I read, he is the greatest leader among the Indians. Because I have studied also the history of Mahatma Gandhi. There is one thing, Mahatma Gandhi was great, but he said, the Kafirs are lazy, they don't wash and are filthy. We Indians and the Europeans must unite because we belong to the Indo-European race, to the Indo-Aryan race. So I know that others have not seen that. It is there in the archives, in the Indian opinion. That was a newspaper which was read by all the radical Indians. So that is what he said. I don't say he was not great, but it can be greater than Mabheka when you look at the situation. Thank you very much for listening. I'm glad to have gotten this chance through the wish of our late king, who could have been here when he was alive.